Hey everyone, this is Bhavik Vasa here, founder and CEO at GetVantage.
If you are listening to this podcast, then you would surely have seen the Shark Tank India episodes in which hopeful startup founders pitch to a panel of sharks on camera for funding. I bet you would not know the statistics about the show. Every third deal offered by the sharks is a debt deal, which means that they offer to lend money to the founder instead of investing in the startup. While many people on LinkedIn criticize the show for this and call them loan sharks, but the truth is that debt can be a powerful way to grow your startup and build more long-term wealth for yourself. In this episode of the Founder Thesis podcast, your host Akshay Dutt decodes all things debt funding with Bhavik Vasa, the founder of GetVantage. GetVantage is in the business of giving debt to startups, thereby providing a service that most banks are not equipped or willing to offer. Stay tuned for the conversation and subscribe to the Founder Thesis podcast on any audio streaming platform to master fundraising for your startup.
And also the ambition was that digital payments, fintech is what I do. Started meeting as many venture capitalists, as many angel investors, started pitching my fintech play that we wanted to build out in India. And 13 options started materializing. And actually, in all of that is where this opportunity arose with It's ITZ Cash. So It's Cash was, again, the earliest fintech and digital payments company in India. It had already set up, taken a one round of investments. But as I met the main founder, Naveen Surya, and some of the investors, the play was, look, it's something that is also my expertise. I would love to build it together. So that's where I merged my business plans and my entire digital focus and came on board at It's Cash as a chief growth officer and took that business then from 2010, we were about 2 or 3 million in revenue is what the company used to clock. To then scaling that business to $40-45 million revenue in the next 7 to 8 years. So led all the scale expansion, made It's Cash one of the largest payments and digital payments fintech in the country, $5 billion in kind of annual volume that we started clocking. Scale that business and learned another thing that India mein you can't build a business or a startup in 2-3 years like you can in the Valley. India is a beast by itself. It takes a decade to build anything in India.
So if I remember correctly, It's Cash was a way to, for people who don't have a digital payment instrument like say a credit card, It's Cash was like a prepaid instrument. You could put money in your It's Cash wallet and then use it for online payment.
And also the ambition was that digital payments, fintech is what I do. Started meeting as many venture capitalists, as many angel investors, started pitching my fintech play that we wanted to build out in India. The idea is to go deeper, right? So in booking flights, we as It's Cash used to always book flights, but Via.com, which was another the third largest travel booking, acquired Via.com, right? So now you're basically buying into a lot of that volume and aggressively laying that out. We wanted to get into newer spaces of money transfer, both domestic and international. We were getting into money exchange. So Centrum ka money exchange business. So now whenever you travel into India or out, you'll see at all the airports, It's Cash money exchange, right?
Okay.
It is flowing. That was the game plan.
So, while you were at It's Cash, you must have seen companies like Paytm, PhonePe raising lots and lots of money and very like hyper scaling with all the cashbacks and discounts and all of that. Like you guys didn't feel like that you would lose the race?
Two things happened. We never defocused from our core that build a strong, sturdy business with good fundamentals. And so It's Cash at its exist exit. We were already profitable in a world or in a big play of payments. To being profitable as a business, you'll always get value. On the flip side, I actually was at the front end of all growth and marketing. See, the only difference was how much you spend on marketing, how much would you spend on customer acquisition, right? If you could burn a little more there. And at that time, you'd remember there used to be these models, Times of India Group used to run brand capital and all, where they used to
Yeah.
add work.
They would take equity. Yeah.
तो वो भी 2-3 term sheets लेके आया मैं. I was very clear कि चलो वो कर लेते हैं, let's take money like that. But could never take it to my board of directors, honestly, because giving away equity for a barter deal where there is just ad space in return, not real money, right? So I saw that those models had some flaw. Banks had a challenge of understanding our business to give us debt while we were high growth, high revenue generating businesses, but banks could never underwrite. So bank debt was always, bank would ask us for collateral. यार एक tech business चला रहे हो, मैं थोड़ी मेरे पास factory या जमीन है that I will give you collateral. So it's literally those pains as an operator, founder, that I realized that as India is going to have more and more its caches of the future, more and more digital first businesses that are asset light, all they need money is this booster capital, this growth capital from time to time, this short-term debt. And if we can do that with a complete new flavor of tech and data and performance of that business, right? So the birth of GetVantage really came from that serious own personal founders, operators challenge कि यार season time में थोड़ा ज़्यादा marketing में spend करना है. I needed a booster capital, compete with a competitor, right? I needed to increase some customer acquisition. Where do I get short-term, quick access to capital for that?
Okay.
1st of August, I stepped out, and 4th of August, I had my firstborn in my head. It was well timed. So, no, it was well timed. I knew that I wanted to be extremely hands-on with my first child. That was a perfect way to step out, take a sabbatical. So the next 6-8 months to a year, Akshay, was only being a hands-on dad. And, I say this, I've built startups. This was the most important creation. I had to be hands-on.
Right.
So life gave me that opportunity. I think I look back and say, timing-wise, everything fit out, where I was able to literally be hands-on with my baby girl. She's now 4 years old. So everything, I look at my life pre her birth and then post hers, right? So the entire journey through a Bombay boy, through Silicon Valley, back to India, building its cash was pre-Eva. And then literally post Eva is this journey where after taking 6-8 months with her is when we started, and slowly end of 2019 is when we started putting together the first core team for GetVantage and started building on complete stealth mode, but started building out the tech and the platform first. Fintech hai, tech banana hai. First, make sure we get the basic railroads of our tech and platform in place. So 2019 end is when we started work on the.
So, was there did you have some comparable models that you had seen in US, for example, of companies doing this that you thought, yes, we can, that's the playbook that we can build in India? And what was the playbook that you had in mind that you wanted to build?
So the platform idea, right? In one word, what is GetVantage? GetVantage is how can we use tech and data to do alternative forms of funding and finance? That's the one word mission or one word thesis or foundation of GetVantage. Saying that businesses are going to need all forms of capital as they grow and scale. And can we have a very strong tech intervention and a platform, right? So the idea, of course, won. It won a lot more also from, like I mentioned, my personal journey, my co-founder who's another fintech CTO, a veteran CTO called Amit. Of course, he was the first one who came alongside into this journey with me. Once we zeroed in on saying, let's make this play where businesses need money for growth, for marketing, for inventory. Today, they have only access to venture capital. So they keep diluting themselves. But what they have is, these are businesses that are also online and digital. So they know in real time what is my sales over the last 10 months on a daily basis. What is my payment gateway revenue? That infrastructure is in place. February of 2020. That's when the first time the media wrote about what Bhavik is doing next and how we were looking at positioning ourselves as new avenues for business to raise capital or funding. But as soon as we came live in February 2020, March 20 happened. And
Okay.
we all know how the world went upside down.
What did you build? You must have built a tech stack, right? Because you said the way to give money to a new age digital business is to use digital data for underwriting. Like you have access to a lot of data about the payment gateway, transactions, and so on and so forth. So what did you build as a way to do your underwriting? You must have built that by the time you launched, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first effort went in building the tech stack and the platform. देखो कुछ नया कर रहे हो तो you have to build the platform ground. There were a lot of shortcuts, ready platforms for lending that could be modified and built on top of, but that was not the IP or the direction. So that's where the first 2-3 months post the brainstorming, literally, and I give more credit to my co-founder Amit for doing that, where he fought with me for 2 months saying, we are building this completely in-house and controlling the entire stack. I don't want to use any third-party modules and build on top of it because what we're creating as value is on data that flows through our system, and don't want that data to ever go to any other platform, right? So yes, you're right. We built our strongest strength is even before we touched any external capital. We bootstrapped it, completely funded it ourselves, and put together a platform that is a completely API-driven platform. So to your question, Akshay, what is this, right? So APIs are nothing, but we had pre-create pipes into all other digital platforms out there. So think of yourself. You are a small business, a small brand. Today, you will use 2 or 3 payment gateways. In India, you would use Razorpay, Cash Free PayU, if you are aware of some of these names, for digital payments. If you are a small store, you would launch on Shopify. So you'll use Shopify as your store launch. You might be selling on Amazon or Flipkart in the marketplace. You might be using a logistic. All of these are digital stacks. We did the plumbing of building pipes into all the payment gateways, into Google and Facebook, so that when a business comes and applies, through just a few clicks, they are able to connect all these platforms. So now I can actually pull data from source. I am not dependent on an Excel sheet or an MIS that the business submits to me. Once he applies with me through his payment gateways, I know his last 12 months, what his daily revenues are, what his monthly revenues are, what is the seasonality of the business. Live data, unfiltered data from source is what the mode in this whole business is, right? So building these basic pipes and this piping infrastructure, these complete API stacks, that's the value of the GetVantage plan. So we have a complete homegrown stack from a deal origination system, deal management system, deal collections, credit engine. This is the entire platform that we built out. We're able to pull, if there is any company's history of defaults or legal lawsuits against them. We need a report we are churning out. Even our partners or friends and venture capital funds are saying your due diligence is like a legal and fin due diligence that was being done by the humans, right? Months and months. Here in 7 days, my engine is able to connect in data from live sources and pull all and give one report, which is untampered, unhuman biased, and system driven. So as soon as we came live, again, another silver bullet that we dodged, we're about to start to making our first fundings and disbursements, and COVID hit. I think the first few months, like all of us, nobody knew ahead of where this is going, right? But what happened interestingly is very quickly as the world started opening up, the first thing that started opening up is e-commerce. So come end of July, June, early July, there was only e-commerce businesses that came up. So here is, I call this the second inflection point of my life. No, actually the third one. If you've taken the chronography well, right? The third inflection point, because what's interesting is suddenly now every business is considered or has to be online and digital. It's not a good to have anymore. It's a must have. Because as consumers, we all started buying everything online, right? So our thesis that GetVantage will back as many and more digital business, not only product, even service. So whether you're buying cosmetics, apparels, whether you're buying your essentials like milk or bread, or whether you're buying services like media or your subscription driven in business, right? We said that all businesses small businesses in India are going to go that much more digital. And I think the COVID times only has accelerated that by, 5x, 6x at the minimum. So we came out completely action packed. So here is GetVantage set up, built as a COVID baby, a business that has come up in the COVID times. We do what we tell people and founders to do. I tell every founder out there, raise all forms of capital, right, in your journey, and raise hybrid forms of capital. So all the capital we've raised to date is also hybrid. It's a mix between equity and debt. Of course, we've taken some debt in our books, so we can pilot some programs, etc. But this is a mix of debt and equity. So thank you. You're very right. If you like what we've said in our business, I absolutely don't tend to dilute more. And also, I'll tell you the second reason, Akshay, is we're in business of financing. I need to be well established. So when I'm well capitalized, also from a perception, when I open up a lot of large banks, financial institutions, they need to see how well capitalized GetVantage is, right? So some amount of that are expenses, if you ask me, a lot of capital in going into building the right tech. And yeah, besides tech investments or platform investments and employee costs, we don't have any other costs. So we're not burning money, but we will keep raising money because any institution that's in the game of financing, right? The more well capitalized I am, the more access I'm able to debt partners, and I'm able to also then cost of capital.
Okay. So tell me about collections. Who's responsible for collections?
Oh, we are. Like I said, when you don't like something on Amazon or Uber, you complain to Amazon and Uber. So the same way, the entire user journey is also GetVantages. Yes, we are absolutely responsible for ensuring the collections also will be done. That's why with all our lending partners, we are technology service provider, which is doing not only the sourcing, underwriting, but even collection.
And that brings us to the end of this conversation. I want to ask you for a favor now. Did you like listening to this show? I'd love to hear your feedback about it. Do you have your own startup ideas? I'd love to hear them. Do you have questions for any of the guests that you heard about in this show? I'd love to get your questions and pass them on to the guests. Write to me at ad@thepodium.in. That's ad@thepodium.in.